So this is a chapter called All the Wedding's a Stage. Let Why be your guide. Let's get married next year. We were visiting the Simon's Rock College campus where we first met, where he first came on to me saying, I guess I'm attracted to you, and where I first rejected him, lying back, I'm straight. The Berkshire trees and fresh nip of September conjured our private 16-year-old nights. Lighter memories at last reigned over the dread, doubt, and angst that had originally pervaded that time. We were taking turns pushing each other on a rope swing hanging from a tree, a staple must-do at the college. I don't remember who said it first or if those were the exact words, but this was where and how we decided. Then, one of us asked, what next? If I could go back in time and offer us a bit of counsel mid-swing, I'd advise us not to get too thrown by each of the bumpy little whats, wheres, hows, and hows along the way, and instead to let the why be our guide. Why is the first question great theater directors ask before working on a play. Why this play? Why now? Weddings are theater, and acknowledging this will focus your planning. I know, with these affairs there are sometimes religious components, cultural traditions, and family values to consider, but no matter how you slice and dice it, a wedding is a piece of theater, an entertaining, ritualistic, transformative event. Consider how legendary director Peter Brook describes theater. Deliberately constructed social gatherings that seek for an invisibility to interpenetrate and animate the ordinary. He says that good theater creates phenomenal moments of recognition between people. What has been up till then individual experiences become shared, unified. He could just as easily be talking about weddings. Each of us is driven in our own unique ways to have such an event. Ask yourselves why you want this ritual, this convergence of invisible and visible, of private and public. Ask again and again. The process of asking will lead the way. Why wedding? Why now? As my friend Nando puts it, weddings are just about status, he says. She just want to get the 5-story Twin Tower cake and show all her friends what she got. And you know, he's got a point. Few can afford a big wedding these days. A 2013 study calls modern marriage a middle-class luxury, saying a lack of steady employment makes most people too concerned with their own survival to provide materially and emotionally for others. This understandably makes many wonder if the ones getting hitched are just grandstanding. But getting married for status is not only done by gratuitous blingy show-offs. Those in poverty have also caught on to the nuptial privileges, even if it is a struggle to fulfill many of the responsibilities that come with it. While working in a community health clinic in Manhattan, for example, I had a homeless client who married her girlfriend so they would be upgraded to a family shelter. This provided them more safety, privacy, and space than before. So yes, there are a variety of reasons people of all stripes seek the social privilege of marriage. Although I suspect that many, if not most, wedding-bound couples are after something more than status, despite appearances. Something invisible and hard to define. Something more than, here's what I've got, take that. I believe we have drives that transcend the reductiveness of happy endings, even though riding into the sunset, the end, has been the most popular way to discuss weddings throughout the centuries. I suspect there is a more ineffable and commonly shared drive to marry within many of us. I think we viscerally experience this drive every time we break off from families and start to form new ones. For example, critical of the marital status game as he may be, Nando says he does want to get hitched to his boyfriend, for the legal protections, he said at first, in light of their status as a binational couple. But as we talked further, he revealed he wants something more than sitting around a desk signing papers on a random afternoon. He wants a proposal. Not a rock that anchors her hand to the floor. I wouldn't be with a school teacher if that's what I wanted. But there's an inexplicable fantasy he wants to enact. perhaps a security that transcends residency or finances and is deeper than a vapid declaration of, look, we're soulmate twin flames forever. An inexplicable something he searches for words to describe. The specific words Nando eventually does find will be the linchpin of his wedding, and perhaps reveal he is more alike than different from the married folk of whom he's sometimes critical. Many couples I spoke to, especially straight ones, simply thought having a wedding was a way to move forward, to become adults, to segue into a new life together, to be witnessed, validated, and celebrated as a couple, and to garner support as an established nuclear family prepared to raise a child. As it turns out, getting married to raise a kid in a secure home with two legally bound parents is seemingly the most popular America's sweetheart answer to the question of why, even if romantic love does not share top billing at the event. For instance, when my older brother Angus and sister-in-law Summer, not their real names, they chose their aliases, were married after almost a decade together and after entering the reception to the tune of the Mission Impossible theme. Their officiant explained their choice to marry by saying, Angus wanted to start a family. He was in upstate New York. As a testament to their ceremonial intent, Angus and Summer are terrific parents to two radiant girls. My mind cracked wide open on this topic a few years ago during dinner at the home of an opposite-sex married couple we know. My seat at the table was directly facing two enormous Warholian portraits of our host's two tween girls. Late in the evening, we were engaging in meaningless chatter, contemplating whether the actor-choreographer Joel Grey might be gay. It was really late. I pondered, he does have a daughter. As I said, it was really, really late. The husband, a former figure skater, just giving you the facts, replied coolly, intently, with a flicker of raised eyebrow and a breathy, effeminate tone, "That's neither here nor there." Then he stared at me. The Warholian portraits also stared over his shoulder, all of their eyes boring into my skull. A quick chill down the spine, and I stood corrected, informed, and improved. Everyone's deal is unique. No judgments here, it's all good. The reasons we all get connubial with each other are personal, various, and distinct, though some are more on trend than others. You'll save a ton of stress, confusion, arguments, embarrassment, and grief if you know exactly what yours are before making any plans. My friend Yasmin says she originally chose to be married, mostly for the sake of her future kid, but she discovered that having the palpable love and safety she's cultivated with her husband David mirrored back to them by family at her ceremony was deeply meaningful to her. Yasmin is motivated by her faith in Judaism and finds it particularly important to be married, to create a family for the survival of the Jewish people. As we discussed this drive for survival, she referenced the Holocaust. Given Yasmin's why for getting married, it would seem there is much more in common between marital goals of traditional Jews and those who are LGBT or T than many often think. There's the shared history, of course. Those considered to be homosexual were also prisoners in Nazi Germany. The pink triangles and the Stars of David suffered in the camps together. I'm always stung when this historical trauma, this link between us, is disavowed. For example, during the high holidays, I'm often approached on the streets of Brooklyn by several Orthodox men of all ages asking, my friend, are you Jewish? Whenever I say, no, but I'm gay, are you gay? Which is every time. The response is one of disgust. Even one time in Chelsea, the heart of NYC gay life, of all places, they respond as if my intention is to insult, which is insulting to me, as opposed to my real intention, which is to provoke laughter, to provoke thinking, and make a bid for kindred connection using their very method. Unlike traditional Jewish families, same-sex parents, of course, don't necessarily have children of the same tribe or minority status. But all of us, have identities and loves we want to protect, to be recognized, and to survive. Women and men who don't have their own children are connected to nieces, nephews, students, patients, and various other lives they help to grow. And those little ones in turn hold them in mind, carrying on their dignity. We can all agree that a wedding symbolizes the birth of a family unit, whatever form that may take. The word family means a lot of things, not only raising one's own children. Lesbians, Jews, gays, Native Americans, persons of transgender, African Americans, Chinese Americans, Mexican Americans, Korean Americans, and many others have a shared queer history of abjection and genocide, even in our own country. As well as a history of identity we do not want to be forgotten. And all of us, including white straight couples, are more alike in wanting marriage than we are different, even though our identity labels can be deceiving. And on that note, I'd like you to know that Yasmin's husband identifies as queer. Now, for my own big wedding why, I just wanted my story to be known and easily understood. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, there were, of course, all the legal things, the documents and protections, but that part didn't really matter since our marriage was not legal in our home state of New York at the time, or in Massachusetts, where we were wed. The Massachusetts governor at the time, Mitt Romney, had unhelpfully resurfaced an antiquated law banning out-of-state marriages. I was naive about all the legality then. You should try your best not to be. Boring as it may seem now, it packs a theatrical punch down the road when you're denied a hospital visit for your partner of 30 years, or abruptly torn from your home of 30 years after your partner dies. Or, adding insult to injury, your partner's family, whom you've been very close with for 30 years, suddenly claims assets that have been in your possession for most of your life. And just when you think, my family would never do that, try to remember the infectiously persuasive power of norms to which even the best intentioned of us fall prey. After we were married, every time my mother introduced Justin to people with, "This is Mark's partner," we had words. By contrast, every time she sent cards to my brother's home addressed to Angus and Summer O'Connell before they were married, I asked questions. These things may seem small, and her actions weren't the real problem. Where these actions were born in the mind is what bothered me. In her mind, norms ruled with the force of a relentless emperor. Her mind organizes itself with a normative template. It looked to normative rules instead of the truth of the relationship at a desperate moment. All of our minds are susceptible to that sleepy, body-snatching spell of norms, which is why we must wriggle ourselves awake and demand recognition. To my mother's credit, she has allowed her mind to be influenced by my self-advocacy and now refers to Justin as my husband. Legal protections are still a crucial consideration to the why of your wedding, though the striking down of the Defense of Marriage Act in 2013 has certainly awakened many people to the notion of marriage recognition. Legal protections and social introductions for same-sex spouses, and perhaps spouses in general, have since become less complicated. And a story less complicated was really all I hoped to achieve when we decided to get married. I wished for my invisible truth to be made visible. Not just the words that would be used, but also the silent symbolism of our lives together. Not just the story told in that one day, in that one moment, but one that would move with me and with us through major life events. Rituals of social and theatrical quality sometimes have this power. Peter Brook describes the effect of such an event. For a moment, a life of a completely different nature was tasted, and the transformation and the taste and the confidence it gave could take place again and again, whenever the audience came together in the special circumstances of a performance. Such a performance took place unforgettably at my father's funeral in 2001, when I stood with my mother and 3 brothers in the spotlight. I could feel the audience of familiar faces witness the truth of the moment, a truth that was larger than the sum of every individual in the church, the theater, and larger than the text in the paper that read, "Stephen O'Connell has died, he leaves behind a wife and 3 adult children." Something silent, undeniable, and indelible happened. This was how I wanted the story of Justin and me to be experienced known, and remembered. I wanted the love that dare not speak its name to emerge from the shadows and shout its name in the brightest white light. As we wandered the fresh grass of the Simon's Rock campus, having decided to marry, we found the rock where he first shared his teenage attraction to me and where I had rejected him coldly with adolescent nasality and a self-loathing lack of eye contact. There are few things better in life than having another go at something big. We assumed the same positions. This time, I looked at him, and mirroring back his bold line to me from years ago, said, "I guess I'm attracted to you too." Thank you.